Rain drummed on the gym roof that evening, the sound steady as a heartbeat during late practice. The team scattered, sneakers squeaking into silence, but I lingered by the net, wiping sweat from my brow. Across the court, she stood, Captain Elena, straight as the fence lines back home, popular with her easy laugh and boyfriend rumors swirling like dust devils. Her gaze caught mine, holding too long, pulling at something hidden in me. Then her whisper cut the air. "Are you going to stop me?" My heart thudded hard against my ribs. Team loyalty tangled with small-town eyes watching every move. The shared silence stretched, thick with rain and unspoken pull, trapping us there as thunder rolled distant. I arrived at that rural high school my freshman year, the kind of place where fields stretched endless under wide skies, and the air carried the scent of hay and distant rain. The building sat squat on the edge of town, brick faded from years of wind, and I stepped into tryouts with knees locked tight, determined to make varsity. Volleyball had been my anchor back in the city, spikes like punches against doubt. But here, in this conservative stretch of land, it felt like claiming space in a world that didn't always bend. Coach called my name first, nodded sharp, and just like that, I was in. The youngest on a team of seniors who moved like they owned the court. Elena was the captain, star player with a serve that cracked like lightning over the plains. Straight, everyone said. Dating the quarterback from the football team, their pictures pinned up in the hallways like proof of normal. She had dark hair pulled back tight, eyes that scanned the court unflinching, and a build honed from seasons of drills. Strong legs, arms that snapped balls across the net without mercy. But her coaching carried a kindness under the edge. Corrections delivered with a hand on your shoulder, voice low so it didn't echo too far. "Keep your elbows high," she'd say, adjusting my form, her fingers brushing my arm, brief, gone before I could register the warmth. Daily practices built that proximity slow. The gym smelled of rubber and sweat, the court slick under our feet, echoes of sneakers thudding like distant hooves on gravel roads. We'd run suicides until lungs burned, then pair off for bumps and sets, bodies close in the heat. I watched her serve from the back line, the ball arcing high, her body coiled and release, muscles shifting under her uniform. My attraction simmered guarded, tucked away like a secret in the barn loft. Nights I'd lie awake, the creak of my bed mixing with wind through the fields, replaying the way her laugh cut through the chatter after winds. In a town where whispers traveled faster than the bus to school, I kept it buried, focusing on the game, the burn in my thighs, the satisfaction of a clean dig. But hints crept in. One post-game talk, the team huddled in the locker room, steam from showers hanging thick. She pulled me aside by the benches. Water dripped from her hair, tracing lines down her neck. And she asked about my swing. Simple at first, technique stuff. Then it turned personal. "You ever feel like you're playing for more than just the score?" Her eyes held mine, curious. Not pressing, but the air shifted, like the moment before a storm breaks. I nodded, words catching, sharing a bit about leaving the city, the quiet pull of this place. She listened, head tilted, and for a beat, her hand rested on my knee, warm through the fabric. "It's hard fitting sometimes," she said, voice dropping. The gym lights buzzed overhead, casting shadows long, and I felt the first real tug, my pulse quickening under her gaze. Evenings like that blurred into routine. Practices stretched as fall deepened, leaves turning gold outside the windows, the chill seeping under the doors. We'd scrimmage until coach called time, bodies aching. But Elena lingered, running extra drills with me, her form close, breath steady as she demonstrated a block. The court felt smaller then, the echo of the ball fading into something heavier. I mirrored her moves, our shadows overlapping on the hardwood. And in those moments, my guarded heart cracked just a fraction. Vulnerability peeking through the resilience I'd built, spike by spike. One evening practice ran late, the sky outside bruising purple, thunder rumbling low like a warning. The team filed out, coat zipped against the wind, but the storm hit sudden, rain lashing the windows, wind howling through the cracks. Coach cursed, locked the doors, and drove off in his truck, leaving Elena and me trapped in the gym's dim hum. The storm raged outside, rain sheeting the windows until the gym felt like a boat adrift in flood. Elena paced the court, her sneakers echoing soft against the hardwood, while I sat on the bleachers, towel twisted in my hands. "Might as well wait it out," she said, voice cutting the hum of the lights. We talked then, easy at first, about the drills, coach's temper, but the thunder pulled words deeper. She slumped beside me, shoulder brushing mine, the warmth of her cutting the chill seeping from the doors. That night marked the shift, the first crack in the distance I'd kept. After the rain eased to a drizzle, she offered a ride home in her old truck, the one with rust flaking the fenders like old paint on a barn. The road stretched dusty, even wet, gravel crunching under tires as we bumped through fields dotted with grazing cows. Windows fogged from our breath, the cab close, radio low with some country tune about lost highways. Elena drove with one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the gear shift, and she'd glance over, eyes catching the passing lights. "You live out that way?" she'd ask, pointing to a turnoff where my family's farm sat quiet under sagging power lines. Those rides became routine, practices ending with her truck idling by the gym doors, teams scattering to buses or bikes, while I climbed in beside her. The cab smelled of leather seats worn smooth, and faint traces of her soap. Clean, like laundry hung on the line. Cabin fever set in quick on those long hauls. Miles of flat land pressing in. No words needed, but plenty filling the space. She'd share bits of small-town pressures, voice low against the engine rumble. How her dad expected her to lead the team to state, marry that quarterback after graduation, settle into the life everyone mapped out. "It's like the fields," she'd say, hand gesturing to the dark horizon. Expected to yield. No questions. Family expectations weighed her down, visible in the way her shoulders tensed at stop signs. My empathy opened slight, mirroring that hidden self I'd guarded since moving here. I'd nod, sharing fragments of my own, city roots clashing with this rural quiet, the pull of wanting more than the straight lines everyone walked. "Sometimes it feels like running suicides forever," I said one night, the wipers slapping rhythm against a light mist. She laughed, quick and real, the sound loosening something in my chest. We didn't push, just let the words settle like dust after a truck passes. Physical brushes came natural in that tight space. Handing her the water bottle from my bag, fingers grazing cool plastic, lingering a beat too long. Or the towel snap after a sweaty day, her flicking it my way in the parking lot, the sting light on my arm, pulling a grin from me. In the truck, knees bumped on turns, her elbow nudging mine as she shifted gears, each contact sparking quiet, gone before it registered. I felt the tension coil in unspoken glances, her eyes flicking to my mouth when I'd talk, or mine tracing the line of her neck as she drove, hair escaping her ponytail to curl damp against her skin. Nights blurred like that, the rides weaving us closer, her truck a moving confessional under star-pricked skies. The rural dark amplified it, no streetlights to cut the intimacy, just the hum of tires, and her voice dropping truths about feeling trapped by expectations, like a calf in a too-small pen. I'd mirror back, empathy drawing out my own hidden aches, the difficulty of fitting in a place where differences hid deep as well roots. Tension built slow, in those brushes and glances, the air thickening with what neither said. One night, the team cleared out early after a light scrimmage, laughter fading down the halls, leaving us alone in the emptying gym. Elena turned from locking the equipment, eyes meeting mine across the net, the silence heavy as the gathering dusk outside. The gym doors clicked shut behind the last teammate, the echo fading into quiet. Elena straightened, wiping her hands on her shorts, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like distant bees. "Want to run a few more drills?" she asked, voice casual, but her eyes held mine steady across the net. I nodded, heart picking up, the court empty now, just us and the shadows stretching long from the bleachers. We started light, bumping the ball back and forth, her form close as she stepped up for sets. Sweat from earlier practice still clung to my skin, the air thick with rubber and faint chlorine from the showers down the hall. She moved in for a block demo, standing right behind me, her chest brushing my back as she raised her arms. Breath warm on my neck, steady and close, guiding my elbows up. "Like this," she murmured, hands on my shoulders, adjusting slow. The contact lingered, her fingers pressing firm through the thin fabric of my jersey, and I felt my pulse jump, body tensing under the weight of it. Rural isolation hit then, the school on the town's edge, fields pressing dark outside, no quick escape, no one to interrupt the pull coiling between us. I stepped back, ball forgotten, but she didn't let go right away, her touch a question hanging in the air. We kept at it, drills turning sharper, her serves whipping past, forcing me to dive for digs. Between points, words slipped in. I questioned her straight assumptions, lightly, wiping sweat from my brow. "Everyone talks about you and Jake like it's set in stone," I said, tossing the ball her way, voice even. "But does it always feel that way?" She caught it, pausing, ponytail swinging as she tilted her head. "What do you mean?" Her tone curious, not defensive, eyes flicking over me like scanning for a weak spot in a play. I shrugged, keeping it light. "Just assumptions. Like the team's plays, sometimes they don't land right." She laughed, short and real, but probed back, stepping closer. "You get quiet sometimes, like you're holding back. What's that about?" Curiosity flickered in her gaze, genuine, pulling at my silences, the ones I'd built high as fence posts around my hidden self. The ball arced again, but my focus slipped, her presence amplifying everything, the squeak of sneakers, the thud of it hitting the floor. After a missed spike, she came over, hand on my arm to steady me, fingers curling warm around my bicep. "You're off tonight," she said. Close enough I could smell the salt on her skin, mixed with that clean soap scent. I tried to pull back, shake it off, but her hand lingered, thumb brushing absent, sending heat up my arm. Failed pullback, the touch stretching seconds too long, her eyes searching mine without flinching. "Sorry," I muttered, stepping away finally. But the air hummed charged, rural quiet outside making the gym feel vast and small all at once. No escape from the pull, miles of empty roads waiting beyond the doors, trapping us in this unspoken tension. Emotional weight settled heavy, fear of team fallout gnawing at me. Whispers in a small town spread like wildfire through dry grass. If this leaked, loyalty shattered, the team fracturing under stairs in the halls, practices turning awkward with sidelong glances. Elena was the glue, her popularity holding us together, and me, the freshman outsider, risking it all on this simmer. Yet she didn't push away, just nodded, grabbing the ball again. "One more set?" Her voice dropped, probing still, curiosity flickering brighter as we moved, bodies sinking in the drills, brushes accidental, but electric. Her hip bumping mine on a pivot, knee grazing as we knelt for a low ball. Nights like that piled up, late drills becoming our secret rhythm, the gym our isolated world. She'd linger after, probing deeper, asking about my city stories, the silences I carried like extra weight in my bag. I'd question back, lightly, her boyfriend rumors feeling flimsier each time, like a play we both knew wouldn't score. Hand lingers turned pattern, her touch on my arm after a good dig pulling me close to correct form, breath on my neck again. Rural life amplified it. No city bustle to dilute, just the endless fields echoing our every step. No escape from the growing pull. Fear weighed heavier, team bonds straining in my mind. What if a teammate walked in, saw the glances, the touches? But the tension coiled tighter, try-fail cycles spinning. I'd pull back, she'd probe closer, curiosity drawing us in despite the risks. One evening, as drills wound down, thunder grumbled low outside, the sky darkening fast through the high windows. We paused, breathing hard, her hand still on my arm from the last block. Then the storm hit full, wind rattling the doors, rain slamming the roof like a sudden downpour on parched earth. Lights flickered once, twice, the gym plunging into shadow as power cut, leaving us in the dim emergency glow, the darkness closing in around the charged air between us. The emergency lights cast a faint red glow, turning the gym into shadows and half-seen edges. We huddled by the bleachers, backs against the cool metal, knees drawn up as the storm howled outside. Rain drummed steady on the roof, a rhythm that drowned the world beyond these walls. Elena shifted closer, her shoulder pressing into mine, warmth cutting the chill that seeped from the concrete floor. "This place feels smaller in the dark," she said, voice low, almost lost in the downpour. I nodded, the air thick with wet earth scent drifting through cracks, mixing with the faint rubber tang of the court. We sat there, the silence pulling words out slow. Vulnerability spilled first from her, tentative, like testing ice on the creek. "Jake, he's good on paper," she started, staring at her hands clasped tight in her lap. "But it feels wrong. Empty. Like swinging at a ball you know won't connect." Her boyfriend rumors had always painted him steady, homecoming king material, the kind of guy small-town dreams built around. But here, in the dim, she confessed the hollowness. Dates that dragged like chores in the mud, his touch leaving her cold as winter wind off the fields. Everyone expects it. Me, captain, him, the star. But inside, it's like I'm playing someone else's game. Her voice cracked slight, the weight of family eyes, town whispers, pressing down like the low clouds outside. I listened, my own chest tightening, empathy rising unbidden. The rain picked up, sheets against the windows, blurring the world to gray. Her warmth near anchored me, leg brushing mine as she leaned in, the heat of her body a quiet pull through our damp jerseys. I shared then, raw truths I'd buried deep as fence posts in this conservative dust. "Loving women, it's like breathing against the grain here," I said, words careful but steady, vulnerability laid bare in the hush. Back in the city, it was easier to hide in crowds, but out here, fields don't lie. Every glance feels like a risk, like the town's eyes catch it all. I'd felt it since arriving, the isolation of desires that didn't fit the straight rows of life everyone planted. Nights staring at cracked ceilings, heart thudding with wants I couldn't name aloud. The fear of shattering the fragile place I'd carved on the team. She turned, eyes meeting mine in the low light, unflinching but soft. The sensory shift hit then. Rain's steady drum fading to background, her breath warm on my cheek. Close enough I caught the faint soap under sweat, clean and real. "That must be heavy," she murmured, hand finding my arm, fingers curling gentle. Tension coiled tighter, the pull drawing us nearer, her face inches away, lips parting like an invitation. I leaned in, heart pounding, our breaths mingling hot in the cool air. Her eyes fluttered half shut, and for a beat, our lips brushed, tentative, electric, tasting of salt and storm. But she dodged back sudden, hand dropping, cheeks flushing deep. "Wait," she whispered, scooting away a fraction, the space between us cold now. Denial set in quick, her straight mask snapping up like a door slammed in wind. "That wasn't, we're just friends, right?" Her voice wavered, eyes darting to the floor, the attempted kiss hanging like smoke after a fire. I nodded, throat tight, pulling my knees closer, the rejection stinging sharp as gravel under skin. But the doubt cycles started right there, pulling close and shared truths, then pushing hard with those words, just friends, repeated like a mantra against the tide. We sat through the rest of the storm like that, words halting, her confessions retreating into safe talk about plays and scores. She'd lean in again, shoulder bumping mine accidental, warmth pulling me back, only to straighten, eyes avoiding, denial thickening the air. "Forget that," she'd say, when silence stretched, hand gesturing vague. But her gaze would flicker, curiosity warring with fear. My truths echoed in my head, vulnerability exposed and raw, the rural dark amplifying every shift, the rain easing to drip, her warmth lingering like a promise she couldn't keep. Cycles spun, empathy drawing her confessions, the brush of lips tempting more, then the push, hard and sudden, leaving us both adrift in the dim. By the time power flickered back, lights humming to life harsh, the moment shattered. We stood, brushing off dust, avoiding eyes as thunder rumbled final. The gym felt exposed now, secrets half-spoken clinging like damp clothes. Next practice rolled in days later, avoidance straining the team rhythm. Her calls sharper on court, my passes off. The air between us thick as unspoken doubt. Avoidance hung over practices like dust after a dry wind, our passes clipping the net too often, coach barking orders that cut sharp. Elena's calls sharpened, her eyes skipping mine on the court. But in the locker room, things shifted subtle. One afternoon, I yanked open my locker after a scrimmage, sweat stinging my eyes, and there it was, a folded note tucked under my spare jersey, paper creased tight like it carried weight. Her handwriting, taut loops and presses, spelling my name in block letters. Meet me after, equipment shed, E. My fingers trembled unfolding it, the ink smudged faint from her grip, heart thudding against my ribs like a loose ball bouncing wild. I waited until the team cleared out, sneakers fading down the hall, then slipped outside. The shed sat behind the gym, rusted door creaking open to stacks of nets and volleyballs smelling of rubber and old leather. Elena was there, leaning against a shelf, arms crossed over her chest. The late sun slanting through cracks to catch dust motes dancing slow. Couldn't say it in there, she started, voice low, eyes unflinching as they met mine in the dim. No hello, just that direct pull, like she'd been turning it over in her head since the storm. We stood close, the air thick with hay scent from nearby fields, her breath quickening as she stepped forward. She admitted the confusion then, words tumbling hesitant but real. That night, the brush of your lips, it stuck, like a spike I can't shake off. Her straight mask cracked further. Boyfriend rumors feeling distant as the horizon, her gaze holding mine without backing down. I felt my body betray me, pulse quickening at the nearness, heat rising low when her hand brushed my wrist, fingers lingering on the pulse point there. I don't know what this is, she whispered, closer now, the shed's walls closing in, rural quiet amplifying every shift. The creak of wood under our feet, the distant low of cows in the pastures. My skin prickled, wanting more. The hidden pull I'd guarded surging like a set too high. After-hour spike sessions became our cover. Excuses to linger, under the guise of extra practice. We dragged cones out to the back court, the sun dipping low, painting the grass gold as we worked on form. Bodies collided accidental at first. Her diving for a low ball, shoulder slamming into my thigh, sending us tumbling to the turf. Breaths tangled hot. I'd help her up, hands on her arms, feeling muscles taut under skin. Her laugh, breaking nervous but close. One evening, spikes turning frantic, she leaped for a block, landing against me, hard. Chest pressing, brief but firm, her scent of soap and effort filling my lungs. Pulse hammered wild, my hand steadying her waist longer than needed, the touch electric, betraying the want I'd buried deep as well's roots. External pressure mounted, whispers from teammates seeping in like cracks in dry soil. In the locker room, sidelong glances followed us. Sarah muttering to Mia about how we always stayed late. The quarterback's name dropped casual but pointed, like testing wind direction. Elena's been off since that storm, one said, eyes flicking my way. The small-town web tightening, judgments rooted in assumptions of straight lines and team loyalty. Fear gnawed sharper. What if they pieced the notes, the sessions? The team could splinter, practices turning to stares, my place as freshman outsider crumbling under the weight. Elena felt it too, her shoulders tensing at mentions of Jake. But the pull overrode, drawing us back to the shed, notes piling, taut scrawls like, can't stop thinking, or tomorrow, same time. Tries to normalize, failed every time, the air charged heavier with each brush. We'd talk plays, safe ground. But her hand would find my knee during a break, thumb circling absent, pulling a hitch in my breath. Just working on spikes, she'd say to coach if asked, voice steady, but alone, confusion spilled again. Eyes unflinching as she leaned in, forehead nearly touching mine. This scares me, but I don't want to stop. My body responded, pulse racing at the warmth of her near, the forbidden heat coiling tight, no escape in this isolated stretch where fields stretched endless, trapping secrets like rain in low spots. We'd pull apart, normalize with laughs about bad serves, but the air hummed, charged and unresolved. Touches lingering like echoes after the ball drops. Notes kept coming, her handwriting tighter each time, tucked in my locker with a spike script tape or water bottle label. Sessions escalated, bodies colliding harder. Her pinning me playful after a point, weight pressing down, breaths mingling close enough to taste. Confusion admitted in fragments, her straight world tilting. My betrayal in every quickened beat. Whispers building outside like storm clouds gathering. Normalization crumbled, the shed our hidden pulse, until the championship loomed close, stakes peaking sharp as a championship serve. The game days away, tension unresolved and pulling us toward the edge. The championship game neared like a storm front, rolling in from the plains. Practices sharpening to a knife's edge, every pass carrying the weight of town expectations. Elena and I kept up the facade on the court, our spikes sinking tight. But off it, the notes in my locker grew urgent, her handwriting pressing harder into the paper like fingers gripping a net. One night, after the team filed out under the buzzing lights, she caught me by the strategy board in the gym's corner, markers scattered like fallen leaves. "Stay back," she said, voice low against the echo of emptying halls, her eyes scanning the doors before locking on mine. We huddled there, the whiteboard smeared with plays, arrows crossing like veins in dry earth, and talked tactics at first, safe ground, about rotations and blocks. But the air thickened quick, the gym's vast quiet pressing in, rural night seeping through the high windows in cool drafts. She leaned against the board, arms crossed, but her foot nudged mine under the table we'd pulled up, a subtle bridge in the space. Words turned intimate slow, like water carving a path through rock. "This pressure. It's not just the game," she murmured, gaze dropping to the floor, sneakers scuffed from endless drills. "Jake wants to celebrate after, make it official. But it feels like stepping into someone else's boots." Her confession spilled then, raw edges showing, the emptiness of his touches, the way town eyes pinned her to that straight path. Family dinners where her dad talked marriage like a harvest yield. I listened, heart thudding steady, the scent of chalk dust mixing with the faint rubber of the court. My own truths echoed back, vulnerability rising like mist off the fields at dawn. "I've hidden parts of me here longer than I planned," I said, voice dropping to match hers. "Loving women in this dust, it's like planting seeds in hardpan. You wait, hoping something breaks through." She nodded, eyes lifting, unflinching now, the shared weight pulling us closer across the table. Her hand found my knee then, fingers resting light through my jeans, warm and deliberate, sending heat spiking up my thigh. The touch lingered, thumb tracing a small circle, absent but not. Sensory overload hit hard, the gym's echo amplifying our breaths, ragged and close, her scent wrapping around me, soap clean under the salt of effort from the day's sweat, mixed with something earthier, like hay warmed in the sun. The lights hummed overhead, casting her face in soft shadows, lips parted as if words caught there. Time slowed, the world narrowing to that point of contact, my pulse thudding loud in my ears, body betraying the calm I tried to hold. She leaned in, the table edge digging into my side, and the question dropped, whispered but clear as a referee's whistle. "Are you going to stop me?" I didn't. Her eyes searched mine, curiosity and fear tangled like roots under soil, and I shook my head, slight, vulnerability laid bare in the hitch of my breath. She closed the gap, hand sliding up my thighs steady, the other cupping my jaw gentle but firm. Our first touch tentative, fingertips brushing my cheek, then lips meeting soft, exploratory, tasting of mint gum and the faint bitterness of strategy talk coffee. The kiss deepened, slow, her mouth warm, pressing with a hunger that cracked something open, tongues brushing hesitant, the gym fading to just us, echoes swallowed by the rush in my veins. Her straight mask fractured there, visible in the tremor of her hand, the way she pulled me closer, knee nudging mine insistent, bodies leaning across the table's edge. But the pullback wave crashed sudden. She broke away, lips glistening, eyes wide with the storm she'd unleashed. "God, what are we doing?" she whispered, hand dropping to the table, fingers splaying white-knuckled against the wood. Her straight world tilted hard, boyfriend assumptions crumbling like dry creek banks, confusion flickering raw in her gaze. Fear of the team, the town, the life she'd mapped out. I felt the internal storm rage, My vulnerability exposed raw, heart pounding open in the aftermath. No walls left against the want that surged like wind over empty fields. She'd cracked me too, the kiss lingering on my skin, pulling at hidden desires I'd guarded fierce. We sat there, breath sinking uneven, the gym's quiet amplifying the chaos, chalk dust settling slow, her warmth still near but distant now. Doubt swirled, her mask slipping back partial, eyes darting to the doors as if expecting footsteps. "This can't... not now," she said, voice thick. But her fingers brushed mine accidental, betraying the crack. The night stretched after that, words halting as we erased the board, plays wiped clean like trying to scrub the moment away. Tension hummed unresolved, her glances pulling me in even as she stepped back, the forbidden heat coiling tighter in the rural dark outside. Notes would come tomorrow, tauter still. But the kiss hung between us. Accidental revelation, shifting everything. Game day arrived days later, the bus rumbling toward the rival school under gray skies, tension thick as the unresolved pull sat heavy in my chest. Her seat across the aisle, eyes meeting mine fleeting but electric. The bus jostled over potholes, the engine's rumble matching the knot in my gut as we headed to the rival gym. Elena sat across the aisle, knees bouncing slight, her ponytail swaying with each bump. Our eyes met fleeting, electric sparks in the dim interior light, but she turned quick to the window, fields blurring past like unspoken words. The championship air hung heavy, town banners flapping along the route, everyone expecting a win to cap the season. Practices had been fire since that kiss, passes snapping tight, but tension coiled under every spike. Her form flawless, mine pushing harder to match. Rural stakes felt vast, the whole town tuned in via radio broadcasts, small eyes waiting for cracks in our perfect team facade. Game day hit like a serve to the face. The rival gym smelled of polished wood and crowd sweat, bleachers packed with faces from neighboring farms, cheers echoing off high ceilings like thunder over open land. Adrenaline surged as we warmed up, muscles burning from stretches, the net between us a thin barrier. Elena led warm-ups, her passes electric, quick, precise arcs that cut the air, pulling me into rhythm without a word. I dove for digs, body slamming the floor hard, heart thudding wild each time her set found my hands perfect. On court, we synced fierce, her blocks towering, my spikes driving through like punches against the wind. The score seesawed, breaths ragged, sweat stinging eyes under the harsh lights. Her gaze locked mine mid-play once, unflinching, a silent anchor amid the chaos, spike after spike landing, the crowd roaring as we pulled ahead. Final point, her serve cracked clean, ball slamming the floor untouched, whistle blowing victory sharp as a fence post driven home. The team erupted, hugs and screams filling the space, but as we filed to the locker room, the high faded quick. Banners hung limp now, the gym emptying to echoes of footsteps on tile. Post-win buzz lingered in the air, steam from showers curling thick. But teammates trickled out fast, parents waiting in trucks outside, laughter fading down the hall. I lingered by my locker, towel around my neck, the cool metal grounding my racing pulse. Confrontation brewed subtle, the door clicking shut behind the last girl, leaving the space dim under flickering fluorescence. Elena stood across the row, uniform clinging damp, eyes on me steady now, no avoidance left. She crossed the room slow, sneaker soft on the tile, cornering me against the lockers with her body, not touching yet, but close enough the heat rolled off her in waves. "We can't keep this," she started, voice low, but her hand found my waist, fingers pressing firm through the fabric. No more words. Her lips crashed into mine full, no hesitation, tasting of salt and triumph, tongue demanding entry that I gave without thought. The kiss deepened hungry, her body pressing mine back against the cold metal, heat rising sharp in the dim light filtering from the hall. Hands roamed urgent, mine tangling in her hair, pulling the tie loose, strands spilling dark and wild. Hers sliding under my jersey, palms rough from grips tracing my ribs, thumbs brushing sensitive skin that arched me closer. Bodies pressed tight, thighs slotting between legs, friction building hot as summer dust devils, breaths mingling ragged against necks. She broke for air, forehead to mine, eyes dark and open. This attraction, it's real. Hidden it long as you have, watching you from day one. Your digs, that quiet fire. Revelation spilled then, words tumbling between kisses, her straight captain mask shattered full. Boyfriend charade, town expectations, all covers for the pull she'd felt since tryouts, buried deep as winter frost under the popular girl shine. Jake was safe, but you wake something I can't ignore. Her voice cracked, hand cupping my face, thumb stroking my cheek. Vulnerability raw in the way she trembled against me. Crisis peaked there, fear of exposure crashing like a missed block. Small-town whispers could ruin us, team fracturing under stairs, families pulling strings tight as hay bales. Her dad, the coach's buddy. My place as outsider, already fragile. Locker room felt exposed, doors thin to the parking lot where trucks idled. One wrong sound and secrets spilled like rain on dry earth. If they find out, she whispered, lips brushing mine again, body still pressed close, heat coiling low despite the dread. But the kiss pulled us back, urgent and unstopping, her leg hitching higher, grinding slow that drew gasps from us both. Rural isolation amplified it. No escape, just this dim haven, and the risk hanging heavy, pulling us deeper even as fear clawed at the edges. We broke apart finally, breaths heaving, her hand lingering on my hip, eyes searching mine in the afterglow and storm. The winds high twisted with this, revelation binding us tighter, but crisis looming vast as the fields outside. She straightened her jersey, ponytail half-tied, but the pull stayed, electric and unresolved. Aftermath lingered as we slipped out separate, the night air cool on flushed skin, her truck waiting in the lot. The quiet drive home stretched ahead, thunder distant but real. The drive home that night stretched long, under a sky clearing to stars, her truck bumping over gravel roads that wound through shadowed fields. Elena gripped the wheel tight at first, knuckles pale against the fading dashboard glow, the engine's hum the only sound breaking the weight between us. I sat close, knee brushing hers on turns, the cab's warmth wrapping us like a shared blanket against the chill seeping through the vents. No words came easy, but the silence healed slow, doubts easing with each mile as her hand found mine across the gear shift, fingers lacing firm, calluses rough from serves rubbing against my palm. That clasp anchored us, a quiet promise amid the rural dark, where coyotes yipped distant and the air carried the scent of damp earth turning under the moon. She started ending the boyfriend charade the next week, slow as thawing ice on the creek. Text to Jake first, casual at the edges. Cancellations on dates, excuses about team focus. But her voice steadied when she told me over a shared ride, eyes on the road but hands squeezing mine. It's not fair to him. Or us. Family dinners skipped, whispers in town shifting to questions about her distance. But she held the line, straight facade cracking like dry ground after first rain. I felt the pull of it, empathy rising steady in my chest, mirroring the hidden aches I'd carried alone. Nights we'd meet at the edge of my farm, her truck idling hidden by the barn, and I'd listen as she unpacked the weight. Dad's expectations like fence posts driven too deep. The town's map of her life feeling narrower than the dirt paths we walked. I thought it was safe, she'd say, voice low against the wind rustling cornstalks. My empathy anchored her, words simple but open. Safe can choke, like vines on a post. You choose the roots. Vulnerability shared in those talks. My own truths about city escapes and rural hiding, binding us tighter without demand. Rural nights bonded us deeper, the isolation turning ally instead of cage. We'd slip out after dark, boots crunching over stubble fields, her hand in mine as we climbed the low hill behind the gym, the town's lights faint below like scattered embers. Air cool and thick with pine from the distant tree line, her shoulder pressing mine as we sat on an old blanket, knees drawn up against the breeze. Kisses came tentative then, lips brushing soft under the stars, her breath warm on my neck, hands exploring slow, fingers tracing my collarbone, pulling me closer until bodies aligned. Heat building quiet, like embers catching. No rush, just the steady unfold, her straight assumptions fading with each sigh, my pulse sinking to hers in the hush. One night, thunder grumbled low but held off, and she whispered against my skin, "This feels like coming home." Empathy poured from me, holding her through the tremors, validating the Sapphic pull emerging raw. No labels forced, just the land's vast quiet witnessing our bond. Team dynamics shifted subtle after the win, secrets holding like hidden streams under the fields. Practices hummed smoother, our passes locking without effort. But glances lingered longer in huddles, her corrections to me softer, a hand on my back brief but electric. Teammates noticed edges, Sarah asking once if everything was okay, eyes flicking between us. But we played it light, laughs covering the undercurrent, loyalty intact in the shared rhythm of spikes and digs. Whispers died quick in the post-championship glow, town focused on the trophy in the case, our hidden world safe in the rural sprawl where eyes didn't pry too deep. Elena's popularity held, but she pulled back from the crowd, rides home becoming our ritual, the truck cab a confessional where doubts surfaced and settled. Emotional payoff bloomed that first open date, 2 weeks later under a sky bruised purple at dusk. She picked me up at the farm's edge, truck bed loaded with a cooler of sodas and sandwiches wrapped in foil, driving us to the old quarry road where gravel gave way to open overlook. We spread the blanket on hard-packed earth, stars pricking out one by one, her head on my shoulder as we ate, fingers feeding each other bites of apple crisp and cheese. "No hiding tonight," she said, voice steady, turning to kiss me deep, hands cupping my face, the world narrowing to her warmth and the faint crickets starting their chorus. Growth rooted there, her straight facade fading like morning mist over the fields, Sapphic truth taking hold, confessions of long-buried wants, the way my presence cracked her open, mirroring my own journey from guarded freshman to this shared resilience. We lay back, bodies entwined under the vast black, her leg draped over mine, breaths slowing to match the night's pulse, the bond feeling like deep soil finally yielding. Reflection came in quiet mornings after, sunlight slanting through my window as I replayed it all. The pull from that first gaze, the risks navigated like walking fence lines in fog. The world changed subtle, fields still stretching endless, but us rooted now, stronger in the unspoken truths we'd claimed. Her hand clasped in mine as we walked from the gym, lights fading behind us into the field's quiet dark. Connection bloomed steady amid the rural hush, roots intertwining deep. If you felt those hidden pulls in your own life, share below. Subscribe for more stories of Sapphic truths finding ground.